I guess they can fill that out. She's wanting to know what CA number. Which one are you sticking out?
Which project, the Court Square Historical Museum or the Graham Furniture Market? Okay.
Okay. Are you the part of? Are you part of the application? One of the applicants? Okay. You're not going to be able to speak on that unless. Here's the thing about a quasi-judicial hearing. This is not an open public meeting for you to oppose or question or give comment to. It is only a matter of facts for the person who is applying for the grant or applying for the COA. If you have facts, that's all this is. It's a matter of presenting facts. Okay, so that's all it is. So in a quasi-judicial hearing, you don't have the opposite side where you're able to oppose or speak. Answer questions, none of that.
So what do you,
Okay.
what do you want?
I'm opposing the change.
That doesn't have anything to do with anything tonight's talking about. That's not even on tonight, hon. If you'll, let me give you some information. If you would like to speak to that, what you need to do is come to a city council meeting, okay? And we'd be happy to hear you. The next council meeting will be in September, okay? Right, the 3rd, September the 3rd. And we'll be happy to hear that, okay? If you have any questions.
Paul Cross's
City
1919.
manager will call. He'll be happy to explain whatever we're doing, okay? Right now, we're happy to hear your comments, but the plan hasn't come out yet. So we're not even close to doing anything yet, okay? But we'll be happy to listen to you, I promise, okay? All right, you're welcome, hon. You too. Okay, sweetie. You have a good night. Thank you for coming.
We'll have the meeting come to order. If we'll please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if we could have a moment of silence, please. Okay, thank you. The purpose of the Historic Resource Commission is to safeguard important elements of Graham's culture, history, and architectural history, to preserve those districts and landmarks for the education, pleasure, and enrichment of residents and visitors. May I have the approval of minutes, please? Have a motion? Do we have a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We will proceed to reviewing the certificate of appropriateness applications on the agenda tonight. The HRC is responsible for evaluating whether a COA request meets the criteria in the HRC design guidelines. It is important to note HRC decisions on COA are considered quasi-judicial and as such must follow specific procedural rules. In order to protect individuals' due process rights, the Commission agrees to be impartial decision makers, provide proper public notice, and consider all competent and material evidence based on facts, not conjecture or hearsay testimony. We will go to COA 1916-20 Southwest Court Square, Jason Cox. Do any commission members have any conflicts of interest to disclose? Okay. Tonight's meeting will follow Robert's Rule of Orders. If you are here to provide evidence for a COA on tonight's agenda or for this specific COA 1916, I'm sorry, all speakers should come to the podium and first state their name, address for the record. Speakers should directly address the commission. I ask that all speakers signed up to provide testimony on COA 1916 come to the front to be sworn in. This is done to ensure that only facts or evidence pertaining to this item are presented to the commission. Opinion or hearsay testimony may not be entered as evidence and will not be permitted by me so as not to violate the applicant's due process rights.
Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Would the staff please provide the historic significance?
The application for COA 1960 on 20 Southwest Court Square storefront. The applicant is requesting a COA for the following items: removal of the brick storefront, installation of a new glass storefront, repainting of the front facade, replacement of existing windows with 6/6 grid windows, and the installation of a metal awning. In terms of special significance of the property, it was constructed in 1905 and is considered a contributing structure. It's a two-story concrete building with stone facade and stepped side elevations. A rough stone facade similar to the fire station with smooth stone pilasters around narrow paired 1/1 sash windows was added to the second story of the structure and to the building next to it, which now reads as one building. The structure, built by W.H. Holt and A. Nicholson, was the first concrete building in town. Note, neither the brick facade nor the windows are original to the structure, but were added later.
Okay, thank you. So I guess we'll call Jason. You'll give your name and address. Jason, if you'll tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
Sure. So the building in question, the brickwork facade is actually a small facade. You'll see it steps out here. The building actually steps out from the original part of the building. Original photos from the book show that it was originally a standard glass storefront. As slightly discussed earlier in the Alexa, the origin of that building, the one next door, the first building built out of concrete with a steel beam standing out to allow front of the storefront. So work intended is first and foremost remove the brickwork and install a new glass storefront to match what the original design was then. Obviously out of modern materials. And then there we go. So in context, look at the 6/6 grid windows. That's the key to the area that those two structures were built. So in keeping with that, we're looking at case when there's 6/6 across the second story. And then we are proposing repainting of the exterior. Obviously, we have to make it a little bit brighter, cleaner, a little bit nicer. And that's likely the brick standard.
And are you putting the windows on the other side too, the whole, all the way around? Okay. Is there any questions from the commission?
I have. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask, just to clarify, the part of the building that you're working on or that you own is just that part that has.
Yeah. Are the windows going to blend in with the ones beside of it? This is your building, right?
Correct, yes, sir.
Is it going to blend in with these windows, or is it going to be different?
It will stand out first and foremost because it'll be a different color. It's a separate parcel. While they were built together, at some point in the past, they were separated into two separate parcels. So I don't control it.
When you take that facade off, is it going to look like two separate buildings again? Can you tell it was two separate buildings?
I mean, so first and foremost, the 6/6 windows that we're looking at are aluminum exterior with divided lights, so they'll at least be comparable to the neighboring that will be a black casement, and not, metal replacement windows and that color. So that'll at least be an improvement in terms of, but yes, they are two separate buildings. There was a joining passage upstairs and downstairs that was written in some years ago, something, so at this point they are two separate.
And when you take that facade away, you'll tell they're two separate buildings. So
I think it's fairly apparent now that there are some differences in color as well as facade, but it'll probably be more than that.
my next question is, I noticed you picked is that a Benjamin Moore color? The Dove White? White Dove, whatever it's called, White Dove. We went through a lot of process here, decision-making, choosing Sherwin-Williams historic palette and what we would allow. And you're a no the second, maybe the third or whatever that has come here and asked for different colors from what we chose. And I thought we chose a pretty wide variety of paints. So can I ask you why you didn't go with our variety of our Sherwin-Williams palette? You're saying it's better paint?
I'm not gonna say better paint per se, but I just had better experience with it personally. Matter of fact, we've used that on other projects. We can do color matches to Sherwin-Williams colors with them as the manufacturer. Obviously, in this context, we're talking about a clean white. It's not a crazy green, it's not a crazy yellow.
Yeah. But did we not choose a standard white in the Sherwin-Williams?
So there is, in Sherwin-Williams historic palette colors, there is not a flat white to the extent that he's talking about. It's more of a yellow cream color. What was my understanding was that those color palettes that y'all chose were, if you're gonna get a minor COA, these are colors that I can approve flat out, and that you guys have the authority to look at these colors and make an alternative determination on what is allowable. And so that's what he's doing tonight.
Do we need to maybe go through Benjamin Moore paints or something and choose some more colors? Because her name just left me. Moser, she chose a different color too for her shutters than what we had chosen. So
the white that you're considering, Jason, would it be similar to the next door building?
Obviously, I can't speak for the exact color of the next
Sure.
door building. It would certainly be more similar.
Than what's currently there?
Most certainly.
Okay.
Always have to remember, it's a newer paint.
Sure. So it's gonna
Several
look a little
years,
different,
But
yeah.
I would say, yes, definitely white as opposed to the original color.
Bill, do you have any questions? Do you have any questions?
No, I've asked mine.
Okay. Do
you're
have
going
any
to put
more
an
questions?
awning up one more? Are you going to put an awning up like the next door building?
It won't be identical to that. We actually had two COAs and there was a COA that got split, that kind of got pushed together today.
Okay.
And it was two different applications. The second application is for an awning. It's called a flat pan style awning. If you actually look at that, it's comparable to what was approved by the commission on the 200 North Main Street.
Okay, but we're not discussing that, is that correct?
Yes, we are.
Oh, we are.
The reason these were pushed together, they were the same property,
Okay,
and so they just fell under,
all right.
felt
I'm
like
glad
it's
you
easier to send that
Tell
corrected
me
me
what.
on that.
one letter versus two.
Tell me what's in 200.
200 North Main Street is the three-story building on Conway Hawthorne.
Oh, okay, okay.
There's awnings at the
Yeah.
entrance and then on the
Okay.
one side of the alley as well. So it's identical.
I just don't know the actual numbers of the building.
I don't know.
So is there any other questions on, do you realize we're talking about the awning also? Okay,
The,
just to clarify.
your awning's gonna be like that, right?
Correct.
How about the one beside of it?
I don't control one side of that.
Been there quite a while.
And it will be black to match the windows or, okay.
The idea is to try to tie this building together in one kind of.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you, Jason.
Mr. Chairman, just for clarification for everyone on the commission, if there's any element of this that you would request for there to be modifications for,
Right.
you can certainly pull that out with a approval with conditions.
Thank you. So there is no other questions. May I have a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the windows. Second thoughts about the awning. Just one time Graham had awnings all up and down the street. Then they started taking them down, some left them up. But they all seem to be like the old type right here. This is gonna be more of a modern awning. They're gonna blend in.
Well, I would say this would be more in the aspect of what an awning would be in our time period of our downtown.
We're gonna vote on each one separate or as a package.
As a package. So there is in your paperwork, if you want to use some wording, if anyone wants to make a motion, remember that you have to use COA 1916.
I'll make it unless Orlo.
No, go ahead, Jeanette.
I'll make the motion. I have thoroughly researched the application and all other documents related to COA 1916, and I am familiar with the property in question. And I find that if done in accordance with the plan submitted, the proposed changes will be compatible with the character of the mid-19th century Courthouse Square Historic District. I move to approve the application for COA 1916 for the property located at 20 Southwest Court Square as submitted because it does meet all of the standards in the design guidelines.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
There's a, okay. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. I asked that speakers signed up to provide testimony on COA 1918 come to the front to be sworn in. This is done to ensure that only facts or evidence pertaining to this item are presented to the commission. Opinion or hearsay testimony may not be entered as evidence and will not be permitted by me so as not to violate applicants' due process rights.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to
Gotta do
give today
this.
is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing
Oh,
but
that's
the truth?
right. Okay.
The applicant is requesting on COA 1918, the Graham Historical Museum, requesting approval for a COA for a projecting sign. The projecting sign the applicant is proposing measures 1.2 by 5.8 or a total of 7 square feet, which is less than the maximum allowable 8 square feet for a projecting sign in the B1. However, the sign was recommended to be reviewed by the HRC because of its placement on the building. The special significance of the building, it's a former Graham Fire Department at 135 West Elm Street, was built in 1911 to 1912. It's considered a contributing structure. It's a 2-story concrete block structure with a facade of rusticated concrete block erected to house Graham's Fire Department. The cornerstone lists S.T. Johnson as the contractor and builder, and the building later served as Graham's Town Hall and now functions as the Graham Historical Museum. Smooth surface pilasters for concrete frame the facade, which is unaltered at the second story. A major renovation in 2001 restored many of the original features that were removed over the years.
Okay. Jeanette, can you come back up, please? Do any commission members have any conflicts of interest to disclose?
That is not a conflict of interest. She has no, do you have a financial interest, personal financial interest in the decision made by this board? Thank you.
All right.
Do you feel that you have the ability to be unbiased in this situation?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Does any commission member feel that Jeanette should abstain from? Okay. Thank you. Brian? Brian, can you say your full name and where you live, please?
Brian Fawcett, City of Graham is 135 West Elm Street, office space that we're discussing today.
Thank you.
And again, I cannot remember what exactly was in the packet. I have some additional photos that I'd like to give the commission.
Brian, when you return to the mic, if you turn it on, please.
Sorry, it was not turned on.
It is not on currently.
There you go.
Green light means on.
That's
Yes.
it.
Okay. So again, I've got some additional pictures I'd like to bring to the commission and also some color samples that I received from the company Signtech who's producing. So the pictures you have are a mock-up of what the placement, where the sign is intended to be placed. And then pictures around town, taken from a couple of different perspectives of street perspective that you can visually see the sign. And then again, the colors are suggested from the manufacturer.
Okay, so I do have a question on the color. So is the color, the red is just the outlining where it's yellow now or orange? And then the gold would be the museum? Or is the whole sign red?
No, it's exactly as presented. Got a larger representation that I can whip out.
Oh, I'm sorry. I see the
So-
red now that I really look.
It's just the
There's just a line in there.
thin stripe, basically.
Okay, gotcha. I thought you were changing the color.
No,
Okay,
it's
gotcha.
as presented.
All right. I couldn't see that red in the, thank you.
Yep.
Does any commissioners have any questions for Brian?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, Bob?
You-
Bill,
On
sorry.
the front of the building, you got 4 places for signs. You see, public sign, 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 and sign.
I'm not following you, sir. I'm sorry.
On this one right here. See all of the signs?
Yes.
You gonna have signs or just the big one?
No, that in your packet there is just a representation from, I think it's the
Design guidelines.
the guidelines that HRC must go by. I'm just proposing exactly what you see, one projecting sign. Yeah, those are just examples of where it's possible for a sign to go. One sign on the front of that building is all I'm looking for.
I went down and looked at the building, imagined the sign,
Mm-hmm,
then I saw this and I'm going,
right.
too many signs.
Do you have any
Thank you.
questions?
Yes, sir.
So, go ahead.
I was just going to clarify the way this sign is, it's kind of facing outwards, is it, but it's actually going to be like this?
It will be perpendicular to the building.
Perpendicular to the
Yeah, that's the best we could do with
Sure.
technology we have in our
Right.
office.
Photoshopping.
Way better than I could do. It took me all day to get nowhere.
Questions, Jeanette?
No, it's just the size of the sign. It's not the size of the sign because it's under the 8 square feet for the front of the building. It's the placement of the
Correct.
sign. Okay.
Placement.
Anyone else have any questions of Brian? Thank you, Brian.
Yes, sir.
Is there any other discussion?
I'm good.
Could I have a motion, please?
Make a motion that we approve.
Okay, you have to mention
I make a motion.
have to mention the
COA number.
COA number.
We'll do that first.
Yes,
Yes.
please. It's here on the agenda.
Yeah, it's number 1918. Oh, 1918.
18.
That's mine.
Do you have it printed out?
Just change it. You want the last one? And just
Got it. Bill, did you want to go ahead and make the motion and read it off of here? Or you want me to do it? Okay. I'd be happy to. I've thoroughly researched the application and all other documents related to COA 1918, and I am familiar with the property in question. I find that if done in accordance with the plan submitted, the proposed changes will be compatible with the character of the mid-19th century Courthouse Square Historic District. I move to approve the application for COA 1918 for the property located at 135 West Elm Street as submitted because it does meet all of the standards in the design guidelines.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No opposed? It passes. Thank you. Okay, I ask the speaker signed up to provide testimony on COA 1919 Graham Furniture Mart facade. Come to the front to be sworn in. This is done to ensure that only facts or evidence pertaining to this item are presented to the commission. Opinion or hearsay testimony may not be entered as evidence and will not be permitted by me so as not to violate the applicant's due process rights. While they're being sworn in, do any commission members have any conflicts of interest to disclose?
You swear on the testimony you're about to give today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
The city staff would make the report, please.
The applicant is requesting certificate of appropriateness for COA 1919 on the Graham Furniture Mart facade. to allow for the following: new face brick in front of building, new window glass and door, and new wall signs on the side and front of building. The building is listed in the National Register as fill and does not have a description or photographs of the original building. While the Historic District guidelines discourage adding conjectural features like the proposed addition to the parapet wall, based on incomplete historical documentation, they also suggest new designs which are compatible in scale, material, size, and color and detail with the historic character of the district may be acceptable. A similar motif to the one being proposed can be found in Court Square at the Burke Building. The special significance of the property is identified on the Historic District property inventory, as I mentioned earlier, as fill with no description or photographs of the original building.
Okay, thank you.
It really means that that property was built after the period of significance and was not included as part of the inventory when it was originally done.
Okay, thank you. So the speaker who would like to come, excuse me, Paul, please come forward. Well, state your name and your address, please.
My name is Paul Krotz. My address at this business is 135 South Main Street, Graham Furniture Mart.
Okay, thank you. If you'll just give us information on what you're looking to do.
We are a Lazy Boy authorized dealer, and Lazy Boy approached me about 2 years ago and asked me would I consider updating the front of the building. They're very conscientious about their stores, the appearance of the stores. And when my father was living, he and I both talked about redoing South Main entrance. Even though we do have 2 entrances, the people of adjacent counties, Alamance County, believe that that entrance on South Main Street is our main entrance. I'm sentimental on the Court Square entrance because that's where we started. The business is a 72-year-old business, which has no bearings on this, but I'm getting up some age, and I had to do a lot of thinking of whether I wanted to do this or not. But after considerations, I decided I wanted to do it. There has been some changes to the picture. Number one is I have to put 2 brick columns on each side
Okay,
of the double doors.
Okay, could you only talk if you're in front of the microphone because we are required to record it. I apologize.
The columns have to be put on each side of the double doors. The reason for that is the support lineal is too far of a span. So what we're going to do is put 2 small columns. Now this picture is not what I told the drawer to do. The building front will look just like the Burke building. And the brick that we will be using is as close to the brick on the Burke building as we can come. But there'll be a column where the lamp is, or the light fixture is. There'll be a column there. There'll be a column next to one side of the double door, on the other side of the double door, and then on the single door where that plan is, there'll be a column there. The reason for that is for support, because the top of the building is not like the picture that the lady drew. And I didn't want to spend another $150 to have her to redraw it. But the city was gracious enough to take a picture of the Burke building, and the top will look just like that, a little more scalloped. The name Graham Furniture Mart will be in kind of a square window pane if you can look at the Burke Building picture, it kind of is a square window frame look. The grand furniture will be in there. It will be lighted from behind, LED, and it will be lettering like Lamb's Chapel, except it will be I may just show you the big picture of it. Graham will be this way. You want me to step up there and show?
That's fine. You can bring it up. Sorry. Okay. Gotcha.
And that will be on the top portion there where the kind of the scalloped.
No, it'll be underneath that. It's hard to say. You see where it says Burke? It'd be under that crossways above the windows, even though I don't have
Okay.
windows.
Yeah.
We call it a window frame. It looks like a window frame.
Okay.
That's where it'd be. And like I say, the lettering will be like what you see.
Okay, I do have a question because I guess I'm not picturing in my mind your columns. Is the columns, are they out on the sidewalk? Is that what you're talking about? Or they're part of the building? I'm a little
The
confused
new
about your
columns
column.
will be an infringement on the city, and I've got to get approval on that, even though I've been told there's no
So,
problems with that.
so are the columns to hold up the awning? Is that what the columns are for or
It'll
what?
be for that and for the lineal, the stretch of the steel that'll hold the brickwork up.
Oh, it's certainly gonna be weight-bearing columns.
Yes, yes. And it will be structurally sound and attached to the facial plate of the pre-existing building.
Same brick that you're using.
Yes, yes. The building, 135 South Main Street, was built in 1938, and the brick above it does have a little stress on it. And he's going to reinforce that and make sure that everything's done before he puts the facial plate on it. The other thing in question, the awning that is there, my wife and a lot of other people that I've entrusted in their opinion said the awning took away from the front of the building. And I did not want to do that. The brickwork, like the Burke Building, is very, very attractive. And I want it to be just like the Burke Building. And we've come up with a awning that we would like to have approved. If
Yes.
awning will be over the.
Okay. Over the doors? Is that what you're going to say? Okay.
Just over the door?
And it will be attached to the two columns that I have to build on each side.
Okay. Oh, that's it. So I'm still in my mind, I don't know why I can't get the columns in my head, but so that's going to take away some of your glass, well, especially on this one
Next
side,
to the double doors, it would take 12 inches away from
each
the
glass.
Yes.
Okay.
From,
And then what you propose for the awning, that would come out just over those two.
that's right.
And then over here is just one, or is it
Just
two?
one big one over the double door.
Okay, right, that would just be one right beside that double door.
Yes.
Okay,
But it will be bigger than the doors. Because we want to center them in the columns.
Mhm.
Okay, I have a question. I'm confused about the awnings. So the awning design is like this,
Yes.
but the placement is like this. Like in your picture, we have one long one over the double doors and the double windows, and then a shorter one over here.
Just the doors.
Just over the doors. Okay, got it.
Larger than the door.
A little larger than the door. Gotcha. Okay.
Have you already picked a color? A
Color.
color for the awnings?
Getting somebody to send you swatches is like pulling eye teeth, and they called me back today and told me to send them $6 for the swatches. Right now, I can't say it 100%, but right now it's possibly black.
Okay.
And the light fixtures that are on there are not going to be the light fixtures that we will be replacing those. There will be a light fixture, if I can say it, like over the Burke building, the gooseneck type.
Oh, right.
And I think that's going to draw it in a little more to the canopy look.
Okay.
These big heavy looking ones.
Okay.
There will be double doors and the double windows on each side of the double doors. That front was put in approximately 8 years ago, and it's in really, really good shape. It is safety glass. The small window and the small door has gunshot pellets that went through it, and it is not safety glass. So we're going to replace that glass and that door to match the other.
Okay.
Now, she didn't want to be here, so I've got to speak on her behalf. The lady, lawyer, wife that owned the building adjacent to
Right.
it, with the help of some other people, they allowed me to take the awning down. At one time, that flat awning, she didn't want to take it down.
Mhm.
That was really going to be pretty. But she did take me down, but I had to paint the front of her building.
Mhm.
She will not do anything, but she wants it back the same color, which is a taupe and white trim.
Okay.
And if the taupe color is in the historical end of it, then I will paint the side of the building, 135 South Main Street, which is visible from the intersection or from the bank.
Right.
I will paint it the same color as the lawyer's building, if that's okay.
So the only other thing that I have on your proposal is the signage. We don't allow backlights in the downtown area, and we've already had a couple people who have come and we've not approved that. Is there a way for you to have your sign in a different type of way of lighting it that you don't backlight it?
Not really. It'd be spotlighted. And,
Right.
you know, if all I can say is if you saw that Lamb's Chapel lit up at night,
right,
it is very, very impressive.
Right.
It stuck with me from the very first time I saw it. It is the up-to-date signage of the day.
Right.
It's low maintenance. It really, really looks good.
We don't disagree with it, maybe, but we have our guidelines that we have to provide, and our guidelines don't allow lighting from behind.
Then I wouldn't light it.
And so anyway, I'll just let you know that we will have to vote on that, whether we'll approve that sign.
Well, that would enhance the beauty of the sign, if I can say my 2 cents.
Chairman Worthy, I did want to add that it specifically says translucent plastic signs that have lighting from behind.
Okay. I'm
So
glad you
if
mentioned it.
there's, the intent is to have a piece of wood or piece of metal with lighting behind that piece of metal to like outline the word. Does that make sense to you with?
Yes.
Then you guys have potentially the ability to approve that sign.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. Does everybody understand what she was saying?
Is it wood? What are
No,
the?
it's not wood, it's aluminum.
But the light is coming from the backside like this, not
Yes.
through it.
And
How,
it's,
how thick are the letters?
So he's looking like Lamb's Chapel, so.
Like that picture there, which shows the side view of the sign.
So probably refers.
it's,
Internal lighting.
that's what it's called, internal lighting. But,
But she's clarifying that they're talking more about lighting coming through the sign.
no,
He's having lighting coming behind the sign.
and it reflects the imprint of the letters.
Okay.
Uh,
I've seen Lamb Chapel sign. It's lit internally,
Yes,
bright.
yes.
It's not lit up behind you, it's internally.
So would the letters light up? I guess that's the question that we're asking. Would each letter light up, or is the light just coming from behind? Is the question.
You go to Land Chapel.
Light will not be as needed in the sign.
The letters themselves, she can fix the real light.
The light
Not
can't
be
go
in
through
the
the sign.
In the
Of it like shoots out on the backside.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. Chuck, hold on. We've already got, if you're gonna talk, you have to come here to do that,
Oh.
because y'all are having conversation while they're having conversation.
Oh, sorry.
Only one
But-
conversation.
So can you explain that? Do you know what the sign is like? I mean, you're saying that it's metal, so we would say that it's not shining through the metal,
No.
but on the out through.
It would reflect on the back of, I presume, the wall and show the letter.
Silhouette it, yeah.
It's of low maintenance, it's high visibility. The sign, other than the two signs on the side of the building, which I'll get to that in a minute, really, the lighted sign would enhance not only the sign, but I think it would enhance the front of the building. But
Okay,
we'll have to go back to the drawing board because I wouldn't want to spotlight it.
okay. Any other questions?
Have we ever had a request for a sign like that? If you can remember.
Not quite like this, no.
I just reason I'm asking is I don't want the next meeting, somebody come in and say, well, you approved that. Why can't I have it? So we gotta
Each
be
person
sure.
we each have to look at each person, but
We just gotta be sure.
Sure.
And I've seen that sign, lit up at night, going up in the night. And it's internal lighting, it don't protrude out. It's like a soft light. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It doesn't give any lighting outside of the light itself.
okay.
Yeah, that's the way it is. And the light's gonna be internal.
Yes, and the only lighting will be lighting of the sign. It won't light the wall up, or
Right.
the facial plate up or anything.
Brown and
No.
everything around.
It's a very soft light, but very visible.
Okay.
What
Yeah.
you say, is that
So the only thing I will say is if when he submits a sign permit, we get it and it's translucent plastic sign, we can refer it back to you guys. Or if it turns out to be the metal with light behind that illuminates the exterior of each of the letters, then I can approve that as a minor COA.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
right. I do. And does anyone have any questions about any of it, not just the sign, but any of the, there's quite a bit of pieces on this property that we're talking about. So does anybody have any questions of Paul, Jeanette?
No, I was following him up until the sign part.
So are we being asked to approve the COA for a sign tonight or no?
You,
Yes, it's in the.
It's
it's
all
in
part
the
packet.
application.
It's
We
all
can
part of the
pull it
one.
out if
Okay.
we want.
I do have some reservation about what the sign's gonna look like. Don't know if there's additional information that can be obtained to help us visualize it better.
Okay,
Not, the best way to be like I did, and, Lamb's Chapel Airport, and you can see both entrances that have this light. It's a new lighting, and people are using it. And AB Sign did Lamb's Chapel, and
Okay. I was
talked.
gonna just ask that if it was the same sign company.
Yes, and I talked to Kyle Aby, and he said, the main thing I want is low maintenance.
Mhm.
Sure, sure.
The two signs on the side of the building, the pre-existing signs, will be refaced, and the lettering will be the same on the plastic front of Grand Furniture. It will match the lettering on the front of the building.
Are you talking about these?
Yes, ma'am. Grand Furniture Mart. Now, the Lazy Boy, I have to go by their logo,
Sure.
and I have to go by their color tone and so forth, but I do have to have a sign
Mhm. That's on the side there.
visible.
Okay,
Are these interior lit signs?
LED.
But are they going to be
The-
interior lit
I'm
signs?
I'm using the square structure of the signs, but the gut and the facial plate will be brand new. AB said it was no use in making a facial, a new sign, because he said those signs were in good shape. It's just the gut part of it is wore out. The
And-
gut.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. I just want to make it clear that what he's talking about, the side panels, replacing just the plastic, since the box is currently still operational, there's not a ruling to be made about whether he can illuminate those existing signs, because even though they're non-conforming signs,
they're already
they're
there.
already in existence.
Right.
He can reskin them.
He can reskin them as long as they are.
And redo them.
So we aren't really going to talk about this. So we don't really have to talk about this. That's between you and the staff. For that, but we'll talk about the rest of your project here. Is there any other questions?
Well,
Do you
that
have
is part of
questions?
the project.
Yeah, well, I meant
It is.
the other part.
A little part of the expense too.
I'm sure it is.
I'm sure.
Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? Hey, do you have any more questions of Paul?
I have a comment. Does that?
No comment, just questions.
No, I would like to have a better vision of that sign across the fronts all, but I don't know how we're going to get it.
Commission,
Well,
may I
But we
make
can
a
do-
suggestion?
We can do two. You can have that within,
As a
Refuse
condition.
that right now.
we can
I mean, we,
redo that.
okay.
well, first and foremost, I'd invite you to come to Lamb's Chapel. But second of all, if you just were in the vicinity of the airport and the major intersection that carries you into Lamb's Chapel, If you go there at nighttime or dusk, you'll see it lit up, and that's it. The signs that we had on the top of the building before we took them down were spotlighted. They didn't really, it really didn't. It's spotlighting is kind of outdated.
Right.
I'll say it that way.
Okay, any other questions of Paul? Thank you, Paul.
Okay.
Okay,
And
any
just a reminder, there was one additional person that
Okay, I'm sorry.
signed in for testimony.
Chuck, you're okay. All right, thank you. Is there any discussion concerning this? I think, wait. Yes.
This is, yeah.
Sure.
Please.
But is it backlit? Not.
Actually,
It's backlit. So your letters are going to be backlit. They're not going to be the lighting in the sign. Okay, it's backlit. Okay, that's my question. Yeah.
Okay.
I see. Okay, thank you.
May I
Thank you.
see? Sorry, just curious. Oh, no, I'm not important, but like, yes, thank you.
Okay. Let's see.
I feel better about getting more information about the sign. Well, I know I have seen the Lamb's Chapel signs as I've driven, and they are attractive, but that is new building, new architecture, which we are trying to protect the historic downtown, the historic Court Square. So there is a difference there. So what you might go out into other areas of the county and find very attractive, it doesn't really fit with an historic district. So that's what we're concerned about, Mr. Krotz. So being backlit to me makes it a little bit more acceptable than it being interior lit. Yeah.
Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, so I just want to make sure you all realize what we're all voting on. So we have the sign, the perimeter of the building, the new facade, and then we have the awning. So that is what we are voting on. Is that correct, staff? Or did I leave anything out?
New face brick, new windows and glass.
Right.
New
The
sign.
windows are basically, yes, okay. It's just the new windows in the small,
Right.
which matches already the windows that they're keeping. So and remember, the awning is not in the picture like it is. It's only going over the two doors. As the any other questions?
Lighting.
Yeah, the gooseneck lighting instead of the type that he has. Yes. So can I have a motion on COA 1919?
You want to make the motion this time, Bill? Okay. I will make a motion. I have thoroughly researched the application and all documents related to COA 1919, and I am familiar with the property in question. I find that if done in accordance with the plans submitted, the proposed changes will be compatible with the character of the mid-19th century. Is that still considered the Courthouse Square District? Yes, okay. With the mid-19th century Courthouse Square Historic District. I move to approve the application for COA 1919 for the property located at, help me with that,
135 South Main.
135 South Main Street, Graham. Because it does meet all of the standards in the design guidelines.
There's a second. There's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It passes. Thank you very much. So the staff, if they'll, well, first, thank you all for coming and providing those wonderful projects in downtown Graham. The architectural inventory funding options, staff.
So at our last meeting, we looked, we were trying to identify what other opportunities there were for funding the historic inventory of downtown properties as well as North Main Street. The only, in the presentation from NC SHPO a few months ago, the only other option outside of their CLG grant funds that they identified was the Covington Foundation, which is out of Greensboro. Their applications are reviewed in March and August 1st, which we passed that deadline, but if we would like to look at it for the March timeline, what we would need to do is, it doesn't have a requirement for a matching fund, but it would likely help the chances of it being received. So if this is something that the commission wants to go after, it would need to come in front of city council to allow for the allocation of additional funds if it was to be accepted, essentially.
Okay, and if we did that, which I guess we have a little bit of time since it's March, but we would have to get on the agenda.
We need to go on the agenda, but it would also need to complete an application for this foundation's grant process. It's a fairly short application. In looking at the types of projects that they fund, a lot of the ones that have been done recently are more in line with restoration projects. So owning a property, and all of the projects have to come from either a municipality or nonprofit. So we would be eligible. We wouldn't necessarily be going after restoration funds for any particular thing, though. It would be more in line with the inventory, which falls sort of under the publication and research section.
Mm-hmm.
They've funded that in the past, I believe, but it's been a while since they've funded that type of thing. So I don't know if their priorities have shifted or not. I think that would require a phone call and conversation with them of what their priorities have been or are going to be in the next cycle.
Okay. What does the commission think? They go for it.
I think so.
So do we need a motion on that, or can we just ask the staff? We need a motion. Okay, will someone make a motion to ask the staff to
Apply for the grant.
apply for the grant?
I'll make a motion that the Historic Resources Commission requests the staff to apply for the Covington grant for the purposes of using it to help fund the architectural inventory. That's sufficient?
There's a second?
I'll make a second.
There's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes. Thank you. And
I'll bring that back before the commission to provide, specifics on what their request would look like.
Okay. And do you need assistance from the commission with that?
I wouldn't say no to
Okay.
assistance.
Well, if you do,
but-
I will help you.
Okay.
I'll assist you. All right. Is there anything else on that, Alexa?
No,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you. City Councilwoman Melody Wiggins, do you have an update, please?
Sure. The latest thing from the city council, I think there were several things done at the last council meeting that were of significance. However, I think only one thing that had to do with downtown. We had an update from the city manager on the project that was done downtown and where they are. The city manager related that we would not see that plan from the tool design group until possibly September, October. So we're not intending to see that in the future. I think that we went further to say we were, as a council, frustrated a little bit and apologetic to the community about how it all came about and the information that was given to the community, that the reveal was not a done deal, that it was simply a reveal of their report to the community to talk about what their input was and how they perceived. The next step actually is that it comes back to the city and has to be reviewed by the staff and will be reviewed by the city council. So we are probably a couple of months away. So all of those things that you're hearing, nothing has come about with the exception of the only thing that is correct. The mayor mentioned that the pull-in parking or the backing park-in is not going to be in the draft that we're going to see. Other than that, we are not certain about what we will actually see in the draft. We've all been given an opportunity to give opinion at this point, just like the community, but we'll see before the draft comes out, but we'll see. Lastly, Councilman Kimry is here. He and I will be available to the public to answer those questions that have come about as rumor and try to dissuade and settle that information as much as we can. We'll be at Forgotten Road Ales on Thursday evening from 6 to 8. And we invite any of the public to attend.
That's this Thursday.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Is there additional items? Alexa?
Yes, sir. I'll have Mary Fawcett come and present on this item. It's one that's been tossed around a little bit, but we have new information to share.
Okay.
Chairman, Commission, Mary Fawcett, city staff here, 201 South Main Street. As I've come before you guys in the past about the architectural tours grant, it is moving forward. The dates before you, there's 3 consecutive weekends that will start in September. You'll start to see publicity and marketing as soon as the latter part of next week. So we invite you to sign up. As a reminder that all the tours are free and you can come to as many as you would like to attend. Any additional questions that you guys may have?
Are there still going to be 2 tours like we did before?
And then the third one with the children. So we're moving
3
forward.
tours,
Yes.
yeah.
Yep.
I forgot about the children.
Yes.
Each time.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to update you.
I do have a question for Councilwoman Wiggins. Do we need to talk about the placement of a non-residential person on our board? Do we need to discuss that or no?
Actually, no. We have
good.
just found some information in your statutes
Uh-huh.
that Alexa and I were discussing before the meeting.
Okay,
So actually, Carrie, that's going to change a couple of things that we talked about at yesterday's meeting. So for y'all, it will be slightly different. You'll be in the same in the same realm as the planning board and the appearance commission, it looks like will also be. So the 4 boards that were in the development ordinance
Mhm.
will actually be looked at together.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Sorry for those that are not on, I'm on a committee with Councilwoman Wiggins, and we're discussing membership to the commission, and so I thought maybe we needed to bring something up, but we don't, so thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other additional items, staff?
No, sir.
Okay. If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to
Second.
adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Goodness. That's a lot.
Do with myself, I got 45 minutes for my.